Consent is defined as an understandable exchange of affirmative words or actions which indicate a willingness by all parties to participate in mutually agreed upon sexual activity.
Affirmative means a clear indication and comforting words that gives you the go that your partner wants to have sex with you.
Getting the green light. It's a yes, it's like hearing the word yes, or it's like a really enthusiastic nod, or, honestly one of those two, because if you don't get like a really clear sign, then you're like waiting at a yellow light.
Saying the word yes and not just like a maybe.
The one to go with is just a clear yes. It doesn't get any more understandable than that.
It is the responsibility of the initiator to obtain clear and affirmative responses that indicate consent.
You know if you're the initiator if you are asking the question, or if you are pushing forward in a clear, I want to have sex with you.
It's the one asking or initiating everything and just trying to making all the moves and such.
If you're the one that's touching them, or if you're the one that's kissing them, you're the one who wants to have the sex. Sorry.
And it's their responsibility to get that consent, because if the other person doesn't want it, then you can't do it.
Consent must be obtained at each stage of sexual involvement.
You know you need to get consent for a new thing when your partner is kind of like, or they are just kind of pushing you towards something new, or you're pushing them towards something new.
Position-wise, it could be different. I think every new thing you do is a completely new chapter. You need to get new consent for it. Getting that consent when you are changing, even if you personally think you're going down a level.
Kissing can lead to a lot of things, and you don't always know if the person that you are involved with wants to go with that next step. So consent is definitely important in each stage.
Silence may not be taken to imply consent.
It's kind of creepy if you just use silence. I think that would kind of put a damper on the whole situation.
Sometimes I feel that girls will feel like they're backed into a corner and they can't really get out of it. And so it's our role as males to make sure that we see that and understand these cues in order to show that they may not want the same things that you want.
It may be awkward at first if you don't necessarily want to, or don't know how to do it, or you might just be nervous. So definitely silence is not a yes. It's maybe like a kind of feeling it out.
Silence doesn't mean yes. That makes no sense at all. There's no other situation where that would happen. If you're buying a car and you way undershoot the price and the dealer just looks at you, would you say, okay, great, he said yes? That makes no sense.
Previous relationships, previous experiences, and/or current relationships may not in themselves be taken to imply consent.
It needs to be looked at every single time. So the verbal cues, the nonverbal cues, just because you've had sex before, or just because you've done this before, doesn't mean that it's going to be the same exact way then.
Just because you have had sex with her before, maybe you were bad, she doesn't want to do it again, so get over yourself.
Say one day you try something a little spicy, you can't do it the next time, or you can't expect it to happen every time.
You shouldn't just expect it. That's being a dick.
Consent to a sexual activity may be withdrawn at any time, as long as the withdrawal is communicated clearly.
I think at any point during sex, it's okay to just say stop. I don't want to do that.
I'd say not today, buddy. Not today. We're not having sex today.
I think that both people need to be comfortable with it, and I'm not just having sex to have sex. I'm having sex to make my partner and myself feel good.
It's okay to say no at any given time, just based off of the way that you're feeling, and your feelings may change throughout the experience.
Definitely nope, not a never, zip, never. You don't have to owe a guy sex. If you go into the bedroom and you find yourself there and you feel uncomfortable, you can always just walk right back out that door.
An individual who is incapacitated by alcohol and/or drugs, either voluntarily or involuntarily consumed, may not give consent.
It's really hard to tell. It's not easy to be able to say, oh, well, that person, I saw them with a drink earlier, but you don't know if they've continued to drink.
You can be at a party and those are people there with like, I am drunk. That is a clear, you will not be having sex.
You know if someone's incapacitated if they're like slurring their words, like I just did, or they're a little sloppy, and they just don't seem like themselves.
You need to know your limits, and you need to know when someone else has reached like way past their limits.
It's just not fair to them. Like, they can't really make a decision. You wouldn't want them to make other big decisions in that state.
If somebody is incapacitated, they can't drive a car. So why would they be able to do something such as having sex and giving consent?